All right, let's talk about something we all feel, but, we rarely ever talk about it. It's that nagging guilt that comes from wasting time. In a world that's just obsessed with productivity, what does it actually mean to just exist? Let's dive into the alchemy of turning that guilt into something golden.
Okay, let's just jump right in with the big question from our source material. I want you to really let this sink in for a second. Is your time truly wasted if you enjoy wasting it? Now, it seems like a simple question, right? But our gut reaction is often all tangled up in what we've been told our whole lives.
Because let's be honest, society's answer to that question is a loud, clear, resounding yes. I mean, you've got the hustle culture, the productivity gurus, this endless drive to optimize every single second, and they all scream at us, yes, if you're not producing, you're falling behind. If you're not achieving, you're just wasting your potential. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. And here are the usual suspects, right? The activities that always get slapped with that unproductive label. Spending a whole Saturday binge-watching a new show, losing an hour scrolling through social media, or even just staring out the window daydreaming. These are usually seen as negatives, as time that we could have spent better. But what if? What if that's just a completely wrong way to look at it? So that brings us to our first section. We need to kind of reset our definitions here. Before we can even talk about wasted time, we have to ask ourselves a more fundamental question. What is truly wasted? And this is where the whole perspective flips on its head. On the left, you've got the conventional view. It says waste is time that doesn't produce something tangible. No money, no progress, no shiny achievement to show for it. It's all about an external measurement. But our source suggests the real waste, over on the right, is defined by how it makes you feel. Empty, pressured, or full of regret. That's an internal measurement, and you know what? That changes absolutely everything. So, how do we make that shift? How do we go from one to the other? Well, let's get into the secret ingredient in our second section, the alchemy of enjoyment. This is where we find that little bit of magic that transforms our entire perception of time. The key idea here, as our source material lays out, is so powerful because it's so simple. We usually think of results as things we can count or hold, but the whole argument here is that enjoyment isn't just some happy little accident or a side effect. No, enjoyment in and of itself is a valid result. It's a totally legitimate outcome for how you spend your time. So how does this alchemy actually work? Well, it's kind of like a recipe, a simple three-step process. Step 1, you start with that so-called unproductive time. Playing that game, watching that show. Then, step 2, you add the key ingredient, genuine guilt-free enjoyment. And what do you get? It transforms. It's not wasted time anymore. It becomes lived experience. And man, this quote just gets right to the very heart of it all. If you chose the moment and felt alive in it, that time did exactly what time is meant to do. It was lived. Think about that. The ultimate purpose of time isn't to be filled up or optimized or turned into cash. Its real purpose is simply to be lived. If you were present, if you chose that moment for yourself, then that time did its job perfectly. This brings us right to our final section, which is where we take this big idea and we make it real. We make it practical. Your time, your rules. This is all about taking back the controls from the outside world and finally setting your own terms. Think about it this way. The clock on the wall, it doesn't care what you do. It's just a neutral tool. It just ticks forward, passing no judgment at all. The real judge, the one that tells you your time was wasted, that's your own expectations. Expectations we often borrow from society or our family, or even just our own inner critic. The pressure isn't coming from time itself. It's coming from us. And that brings us to the most crucial point, the final piece of this whole puzzle. The moment you genuinely enjoy something, it stops being waste. It's a simple switch to flip in your mind, but it is profound. That enjoyment is the alchemy. It's the thing that turns the lead of wasted time into the gold of lived experience. So, I'll leave you with a final thought to take with you. Looking at your own life, your week, your day, if you look at it through this new lens, what activities are you going to stop calling wasted? What time that maybe you used to feel a little guilty about will you now proudly reclaim as a valid, well-spent, lived experience?